another edition of E-Expressions with the New Indian Express. I have with me today the irrepressible, the completely unrepentant,
Unputdownable.
unputdownable, actually, Mr. Chawla is the perfect word for him, Dr. Swamy and Mr. Chawla both have known each other for many years, and we've had the privilege of also seeing Dr. Swamy in the public domain for many, many years. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Swamy. And, there's so much to ask you, whether it's the US elections, whether it's China, whether it's the economy, or whether it's the Sushant Singh Rajput case. I don't know where to begin, but I think I'll begin with the economy because I heard you saying the other day that the finance minister called it an act of God, and you said, I hope she doesn't blame me.
Yeah, because God is known as Swamy also, no?
You're assuming that she was blaming you.
So really, what has gone wrong, Dr. Swamy?
No, it has been going wrong since 2015. If you see the Hindu paper, which is the only one that agreed to publish those days, what was then a blasphemy, where I said the Indian economy has started to slide down into a tailspin. And in another 3-4 years, it will head for a crash. In 2014-15 financial year, we had achieved an 8% growth rate. And then every year it started coming down without fail. And the last quarter of 2019-20, that is this year that concluded on March 31st of 2020, starting from April 1, 2019, that financial year, is in 4 quarters, each of 3 months. The last quarter, January 1 to March 31st, is only 3% per year, 3.1% per year. And this is not my estimate. This is the officially put out and camouflaged, and so that nobody knows it exists, macroeconomic survey put out by the Ministry of Finance on June 30th this year, where they have given a table and it's very clear. So when the coronavirus hit us, and that is the lockdown more or less at the end of March, there we had already were on a declining trend. And then this short notice lockdown and a complete lockdown had created a chaotic situation where businesses closed down, everything closed down. Everything was on a lockdown. And I thought that the first quarter of 2020-2021, that is 1st April to April, May, June, that is 1st to April to June 30th, that quarter will be declining by about 25%. And everybody, they criticized me and so on because they thought it would be more than 10%, 5%. It turned out to be 23.9%, almost 24%. So I was the only one that close. The reason I felt that this will continue, and probably by the end of this financial year, the next year, that is March 31st of 2021, I think our overall growth rate would be minus 15%. And that's a huge drop from 8% that we had. Now, what is happening is that they had a stimulus package, which was called a stimulus package, but it was out of 21 trillion rupees. Only 1.2 trillion rupees was for stimulus. And the rest was fiscal concessions. You don't have to pay back your installments of loans. You don't have to worry about withdrawing money from your banks. So these are all fiscal measures, and fiscal measures were not appropriate, because what we were having in the first 3-4 months after the lockdown was a So shut down, which means people are unemployed.
Mm.
And if people are unemployed, banks, the companies closed or cut down to skeleton staff. That means people's capacity to buy has evaporated. And people were, in fact, even earlier, they will draw money from the savings. This time, they were not willing to do that because they don't know what is going to be the future.
Right.
So there was, and there has been for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been repeatedly saying that India's economy is not supply oriented. It's not supply deficit. It's a demand deficit. And the demand deficit came about because of demonetization, because the money that people were freely spending that that disappeared.
Yeah.
Because of the tax terrorism, as it was called. And then we also found income taxes being more and more complicated. Then GST became beyond everybody's comprehension. So the desire to buy has begun to shrunk.
Mm.
So when your demand is in deficit, but supply is not. That's why when you went to an automobile showroom, you saw cars and cars and cars.
Right.
There's no demand to buy it.
Right.
Every industry had excess capacity, large inventories. So your focus should be in macroeconomics. There's a difference between macroeconomics and microeconomics. Your focus should be how to put money into people so that they go and buy.
Right.
They go and buy from kirana stores, they buy from restaurants on the highway, they buy the sabji wala sitting on the pavement. The only way to do it is put money into the hands of the people.
Hmm.
Trump, for 80 million families,
Right.
I mean 80 million single families or 2 children family, whatever. Every family earner, what in his bank account the tax right. You talk to any American,
Yes.
talk to Indian Americans, they say that. We have not done that. When the migrant workers were walking there, so Nirmala Sitharaman said we don't have a register of migrant workers.
Right.
What does that mean? Just those people who are walking on the street, go and give them money.
Yeah.
And they will hold on to it. Nobody can snatch it from them.
Right.
Because they have left all their belongings and just got on potla and coming.
Right.
So this stimulus was totally inappropriate because it was empowering the suppliers.
Right.
We won't, you don't have to pay your bank installments. You don't have to meet your rent bills with the government and all these kinds of things. Only the suppliers. But you did not empower the people with money to spend.
Dr. Swamy, is it a profound lack of talent or a profound lack of ability to consult people outside a very, very tight circle? I don't even know what the circle must be.
In India, first of all these traditional economics are now book knowledge.
Right.
Thinking out of the box. You only become when you become a researcher. Or you bring in somebody with a foreign degree like Raghuram Rajan.
Hmm.
What did Raghuram Rajan do?
Hmm.
He said there is an inflation problem and I am going to control inflation by restricting the money supply.
Hmm.
And the money supply can be restricted by raising the interest rate.
Interest rate.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
But that is microeconomics, and he was a business. He was IIT graduate, and then he did an MBA.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you an economist. But an economist would have seen the general equilibrium. I raise the rate of interest, the cost of capital goes up. If the cost of capital goes up, small and medium industries on the margin, they will not be able to pay, they will fold up, and that will lead to increased unemployment. This is what happened during the Raghuram Rajan. And I couldn't convince anybody because Prime Minister doesn't know any economics. Otherwise, he wouldn't say $5 trillion GDP in 5 years. That is doubling of your GDP. Doubling of GDP in 5 years means 14.4% per year.
Yeah.
Professor, he's not talking about $5 trillion economy now for the past couple of months.
But he did talk. When did he talk? On 26th May 2019. Today we are just a little year later. How can he talk now? 5 trillion. So, I'm not saying that 14.4% growth rate cannot be achieved, but you must know that you are now at 3% and you are going to go to 14%. How are you going to do it? So, therefore, it is not enough to have got a degree. You must be able to think out of your box. And most of the people who have been employed during Narendra Modi's period, and I think previous governments except Narasimha Rao, he went hunting for me. He tried to make me join Congress party, and I said, I won't do it. You are a tenant in that party, and this is owned by the family, and so I will not join. Then he said, but I can't make you a minister. Then I said, that's up to you. Then he gave me minister rank position and gave me a chairmanship of a commission. And it's the only one, without being an ally of the Congress party, I was that. Now, that is the way you go about it. Now, so all our, this Niti Aayog and PM's, they are too terrified to tell the Prime Minister on his face that this can't be done.
But Professor, do you think Niti Aayog is capable of advising, giving correct economic advice?
So you have answered my question.
No, I'm asking you because I don't know much about.
No, you go and ask them to show their degrees. They will show you PhD and all that.
You got Rajiv Kumar there. You got CEO giving every day one lecture of the year.
That's what I'm saying. About is Raghuram Rajan. All you journalists were cooing about him and abusing me for getting rid of him, especially the women journalists.
No stereotypes, please. That's not fair.
So anyway, I'm only saying this, that you must have the guts to say. Now take, for example, green shoots. Where are the green shoots? And
what does it mean, by the way?
This young economic advisor, Subramaniam, Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, whatever.
Yeah.
He had, upon getting the appointment, he wanted to see me. So he came. I had in fact gone to the Indian School of Business to address a lecture. So he met me there. And he asked me how he should conduct himself. I said, you want to survive? He said, yes. I said, then don't be original. just find out what the PM is thinking and then dress it up. But if you want your reputation to survive, and tell him frankly that this can be done, can't be done. Therefore, with this strong Prime Minister, you need a very strong Finance Minister who is not afraid of, who has an independent base. Unfortunately, it zeroes down to one person and Prime Minister doesn't want it.
That's you, of course.
Professor, but you were pitched as a finance minister. You also said somewhere that you would have been the best finance minister this country never had.
Never had so far, yeah.
But problem arises that, okay, you can handle the economy, you can handle diplomacy, but who will handle Dr. Swamy?
Precisely, yeah. I agree with you. A man like Morarji Desai could. And because of Vajpayee's opposition, he offered me an independent charge of finance minister. I said, no, cabinet or nothing. And I became UA president. You remember that time? Janata UA, I was the president.
Yeah.
Then Jayalalitha insisted on my becoming prime minister. Vajpayee told her the same thing. I don't know how you're getting on with him, but I cannot manage him. And it's true that Chandrasekhar, I used to tell him in the cabinet, what are you talking about? It can't be done. One day Chandrasekhar told me we are going to declare default in our economy because we don't have foreign exchange. VP Singh has squandered it all. So what do we do? And so Yashwant Sinha's usual devaluation, I had nothing doing. None of this will work. Only way you get a money from some foreign source. And
Dr. Swamy, one question, because you're such a talented person, you know everything, everybody. Why that in a democracy, you have to be a team player? Somehow somebody gets the impression they all get there. They like you, but they're afraid of you.
Yeah, what is the meaning of team player? You decide collectively, I'll follow it. I did that with Narasimha Rao, even though I was not a minister proper, but I attended the cabinet meetings and when it was decided. Chandrasekhar, of course, Chandrasekhar was a smarter person. He used to yield on issues because I had limited issues. Dismiss DMK government because I want to finish off LTT. He agreed. Everybody else in the cabinet was against it, but he said, "No, my Swamy ko sompra hu." And that is, you must know how to handle people.
No, why I'm saying this
Why I should change my personality because you want dumboos?
No, but one thing that today I saw some tweets going about that you are saying somebody in the media cell, IT cell.
Yeah, he should be sacked.
So the question is, you are in the BJP, you are a member of the BJP parliament.
Where do I speak? Does the national executive ever meet? Does Mr. Modi give appointments to discuss party matters with me?
No, I'm just asking what went wrong because you spoke about
He
you wanted
put out fake tweets. And I caught him because he thought that he could not be caught because he did it through the instructions went through WhatsApp. I called up my friends in the Americans, then they gave me a whole printout with this guy giving instructions, do like this, do like this, do like this. And I've sent it to the PM. I've sent it to Mr. Nadda too.
So when was the last time you met the Prime Minister and did you discuss any of these issues with him? Why is there such deep suspicion between you and the Prime Minister?
What do I meet him for? I mean, I can't speak economics to him. He doesn't know anything about it. I can't tell him to do. I met him, I think, in July, in September, in Allahabad, we had a national executive meeting, which is probably the last executive meeting. I think it was 2016. No, 2017. And I told him that you are meeting Xi Jinping regularly, but he doesn't like you.
You're not met him for 4 years.
Who?
The Prime Minister.
I have not had a separate meeting since then.
Wow.
You have been attending the BJP parliamentary meeting?
I don't attend BJP parliamentary meeting.
You don't attend?
All that happens is he gives a speech, everybody claps and goes. And I have to go there at 9 o'clock in the morning. I can't prepare for parliament if I go there. So
I've been following your tweets because in the tweet the other day you wrote, I have asked, wanted to speak to Prime Minister about G and NEET examination postponement.
No, I asked him for,
never got a call,
for time, but he didn't give me time.
He didn't return your call either.
No. He didn't return my call.
But why were you supporting the students? Because ultimately 84% people have appeared in the test now.
No, that's not correct.
That's what the figure government of India has given today.
So far, no official estimates have come, but I have gone by state's police information. It is not exceeded in any place more than 51%. And in any case, it's a monsoon period. It's a lockdown in many states. Haryana is in lockdown. The chief minister is down with COVID. What is the urgency that you should hold it by? I said hold it after the Diwali because the weather will be wonderful, and by then maybe coronavirus might also, its virulence might come down. I mean, what was the need to hold an exam now?
Life must go on. Dr. Swamy,
life must go on, but not this way. These young kids have to come, their parents have to accompany them. In Bombay, people, the day they went, there was monsoon, so that delayed by 1 day. After they reached, how do you get taxis? There's no public transportation. Think of the families and look at the tension you're putting them, whether you reach on time, how do they come? So,
Doctor, I'm a little intrigued about your differences going between BJP and you.
No, not BJP. Don't say BJP. BJP is only ideology is Hindutva, and I'm the leader of that.
But they have implemented all the agenda with Hindutva agenda. What is left there now? You got triple talaq, you got Ram Janmabhoomi, you got J&K, everything you got.
Kashi Vishwanath is Baki. They have not implemented it. I got it done. Ram Setu None of these people did anything. In fact, it was Vajpayee's government which wanted Ram Setu to be cut into pieces.
No, talk about this government.
Was brought by Vajpayee.
I'm talking about the Modi government has done all what
Modi
you wanted.
government did nothing for Ram Setu because I got it from the Supreme Court, and all that Modi had to do was the government filed an affidavit that we accept.
Doctor, I'm saying about Ram Setu, that's the agenda we have got, which is unfinished yet.
Mandir, what did the Modi government do?
The government machine supported you supplement in the court and everywhere.
The argument is I found. Faith I found. They were talking about property distribution. In my property, your property. That was all the case was about. Then I brought in
Faith.
that I have faith that Ram was born there. That's my fundamental right. It is in the preamble. It has become part of the basic structure. And we won on that.
You have been fighting this case for many years now, but it is only during Modi's regime you have been successful.
When Ashok Singhal called me and said, I don't think in my lifetime I am going to see Ram Mandir being built. So I want to leave this to you. I said, but your colleagues will not accept that because they have all been working on this for years and I have not worked on this at all. He said, I'll call a press conference and have all of them present. In your presence, I will tell the press, Swamy is my successor, which he did. And that's how I came to the picture. Then I tried to get into the thing. All the parties, including the BJP parties there, they all opposed my coming. Who's he? Where did he come from? You can't parachute in like that. So I came with a new petition that these people are all for property. I am for my fundamental right. And the court accepted that.
So yet you were not there that day on the Ram Pujan.
He didn't invite me, so why should I go? He didn't invite anybody. Why didn't he invite C.C. Ravi Shankar was part of the mediation committee? I mean, C.C. Ravi Shankar put in a lot of effort, but he was not invited. I can give you more examples.
Please
Like?
do, sir.
Advani was not invited.
Hmm.
Huh?
Why do you
Mandir Joshi?
Murli Manohar Joshi was not invited.
so why is that? Does
Uma Bharti was not invited.
But she was there. She was there.
She went without invitation.
Because she was
I
there
have
on
also
the
gone
banks.
without invitation, but the
She was in the
sadhus
bank.
were all stood up in jubilation. Because on my birthday on September 15th last year, the sadhus celebrated my birthday. What a show it was of the sadhus. And they declared on the platform, only person we believe when he says Ram Mandir banega ya Subramaniam Swamy. Wohi hai, baaki sab dhokebaz hai.
But Sheila, the NAS they have got, trust with the government.
Huh?
They could, the trust with the government has formed.
I
They
don't
could
know.
have invited you there. No? People trust you.
Could invite it. That's a very nice thing to say. But the man doesn't want anyone else to share the platform.
Let us go back
I
to China.
don't
which
blame
is
him.
your favorite
I don't
subject.
blame him. I mean, in India,
Yeah.
we have been brought up this way, not to have a collegium.
Hmm.
Not to look at the Congress party.
Hmm.
So I will not blame Modi for being unusually self-centered. It is normal. I am the abnormal chap.
So how do
What
you
about-
think he handled the coronavirus situation? How do you think he handled COVID?
Well, I would think that by and large very well.
Hmm.
But I would have preferred it if he had given 5 days before bringing the lockdown, not in 4 hours.
Right.
Because none of us were prepared. It was a bit of a shock. But we all obeyed. But, you know, it caused a lot of dislocation. Could have prepared it better. Especially since we were anyway coming after seeing what's happening in other countries.
Hmm.
We were latecomers.
Hmm.
March 25th, the lockdown. So otherwise, the rate of the mortality rate is very low. Maybe that we Asians have better, resisting powers. I don't know, but it is low, very low. People say you haven't done enough testing. All right, but this is a sample. In the sample, the proportion of people dying is not going to change if I had a bigger sample.
Right.
So he has managed it well. And China too, I'm telling you, there are some steps he has taken which is extraordinary.
Which are not right.
We have crossed the LAC and occupied some territories of what China was on the China side of the LAC, which we never done before, which no other prime minister had the nerve to do it. So there are things that he's done, I mean, but that doesn't mean I have to be a flatterer.
Right. So why do you think he finally
I've known him. He knows. I've known him since he was in Vidyarthi Parishad.
Right.
My first public speech after I came back from Harvard was organized by him in Ahmedabad for the Vidyarthi Parishad. Swamy's Swadeshi plan.
So, but you've said somewhere that although he's met Xi Jinping 18 times, he does not understand, Prime Minister Modi does not understand the Chinese and how they function. So how exactly do they function and what have we...
Let me put that there, because there's a very big contrast between the Americans and the Chinese and the Indians. The Chinese will only be accommodative if they trust you. And to trust you, you should stand up for them when they are in difficulty.
Okay.
My trust that I have, I still have trust. I mean, I'm attacking them left, right, and center, but the Chinese think I am, after all, an Indian nationalist. I must do my duty. I mean, there's no attacks on me. There are attacks on so many other Indian leaders and so on. But if they feel that you're using them, you're doing it only for atmospherics. One of the things that Modi did, which I myself told him, not that he liked it, my telling him, but I told him, you have been to Japan and then you say there is one country which is coming and trying to grab your islands. That means you have intervened in the Japan-China dispute of the South China Seas island. And now they'll go in their head. And Modi, by the way,
I want to know one thing.
Modi offered me the presidentship.
I want to know, you know so much of China, I know it. Let me interrupt, sorry, apologies.
No, I want to say one thing more.
Yeah,
Modi
please.
asked me to be a member or a president of the BRICS Bank, those 4 countries bank, 50 crores a year.
Right.
That's free. I declined. I told him I left Harvard to come to India. I'm not going abroad again.
Oh.
But I told him privately that their relations are so bad that I can't say when they will break. So I don't want to go sit there and find myself in a terrible quandary. And that time it didn't look like that. And that's what happened.
I'm asking a straight question. Do you think, keeping in view what is happening on the border and every day, what Foreign Minister said today, also his spokesperson in the newspaper already, about Arunachal Pradesh. He said, what is Arunachal Pradesh? Arunachal Pradesh, we don't know anything about it. We have never heard of it. What do you think? Are we ready, going for a war soon?
Well, I think we have demonstrated that the war won't be like 62. Okay. So the Chinese would be looking for an opportunity for a war.
Are we ready?
We are getting ready slowly. The only people
what happened on the one side, China is showing very every day.
China has a long supply line. We can go bomb the hell out of them. It's not so easy for them. Even in 1962, if Jawaharlal Nehru had accepted Rajagopalachari's suggestion to bomb the supply routes of China, it wouldn't have been so badly difficult.
After so many cases of violation of LAC and whatnot, after that Rajnath Singh goes there and meets the Chinese minister.
I opposed it.
It's a good, you support it.
I opposed it in Twitter. Please see.
Why do you think it's a good policy?
Meaningless. They are not going to yield. Please read Global Times, what they said to Rajnath. Have you ever seen what they've said in our papers? What did they say to Rajnath in that meeting? Of course, they deny that, that they wanted to have the meeting. The Russians bluffed us. Russians, by the way, are stooges of the Chinese. Never trust them now. Okay. So,
why did he meet? Under whose pressure he met them? Because earlier they were saying he will not go there.
My guess is that on his own he would not have met. Because he delayed it. Then the Russians put pressure in Delhi. And Where's the
No, we read in the newspaper.
invitation?
Because
I
you
was in Rajan's place. I say I'm not going unless he gives me a written invitation that we want to meet you.
See, Professor, you know many things inside, even if you are not inside the government. But what I'm asking you, because we saw newspaper reports earlier that Rajnath Singh would not go there because he doesn't want to meet the Chinese. Suddenly we find that he had gone there and had a long meeting also. What happened in between? First they had the newspaper.
Go. It's a collective decision, quote unquote.
Collective decision by whom? Coercive or collective?
Cabinet is a collective decision.
Cabinet decided it.
But I'm assuming if Prime Minister decides, means the cabinet decides who will oppose. I'm not there.
But you, as a diplomat, as an economist, as a strategist, you must be also can anticipate what could have gone which forced them to go and meet the Chinese, who has not shown even little more.
Only Modi can clarify. Because I don't want to compromise Mr. Rajnath. He's known as my very close friend. So people will assume that he has told me. I've not even met him.
He doesn't speak to anybody, even his shadow.
He speaks to me. All these years he has been speaking to me. He's been, for my Rajya Sabha, if anybody put up a real fight, it was him and Gadkari. You see. So, because he made a promise to me, after Jetli, your friend, saw to it at the last minute, my name was taken off the list. He called up before the meeting, when the meeting of the election body was meeting, I mean the parliamentary board was meeting, he called me up, सबके सामने मैं रहा हूँ, जो मैंने कहा था कि आप नई दिल्ली से लड़िए, वो असंभव हो गया है, और मैं वचन देता हूँ कि आपको पहला राज्यसभा आपको मिलेगा. मुझे पहला राज्यसभा नहीं मिला. But ultimately, because he kept insisting everywhere, he said, मैंने वचन दिया, मैंने वचन दिया. So he's a good man, but he's not a person who can talk back. He's a good, I mean, he's a good Swayamsevak. I don't know whether you were in any time part of RSS or not, but he's a good Swayamsevak. I'm a good Swayamsevak also because I speak about Hindutva and I get things done. So
Doctor, in the beginning, you made some point that from 2014 onwards, economy has been going down.
Yes.
It has never picked up.
Yes.
What do you think? What is the trigger? You think demonetization, which I don't remember?
No. Demonetization is definitely a small factor. I wouldn't call it a big factor.
That was the beginning.
It
Trigger.
went down because you were cutting the purchasing power of many.
That's what I'm talking about. Demonetization took away money from the people. Not demand went down.
Certainly, that money which was being spent suddenly went underground.
Right.
And you know how money was exchanged. You know, I was asked by Sri Ravi Shankar in December of 2016 that he had met the Prime Minister and he was looking for suggestions. Can you give a suggestion? I said, say to him even now, announce that or whatever cash you have, genuine, black, etc., go and deposit in your bank. Government can take away 15% of that as their share. Another 50% you put in fixed deposit. The remaining 35% you withdraw. Now, part of the problem with withdrawing in cash was that we went into this without even printing the notes. And when we finally printed the notes, they couldn't fit into the
ATM machines.
ATMs. Okay.
No, I'm asking what could be the reason for consecutive fall of GDP in 6 years?
I am telling you,
demand is the only question you are talking about.
Only
demand contraction has happened.
Nothing else is wrong with the Indian economy. It is demand, and that works through a number of ways. The way you send income tax inspectors and extract money, the way the people then put it into black, and therefore it is not available for investment and deposits in bank. Then you speak ill of all the industrialists. You say chartered accountants are crooks. You know, it was your friend Jetli, I mean, quote unquote, who created this climate, a climate of fear. One day he told in Parliament the judges are in unelected tyranny. Theirs is a judiciary is an unelected tyranny. I said that's better than being an unelectable tyranny, which is what he was.
Sir, can we talk? Yeah.
No, let me cover it. The
Sure.
question is talking about
I'm
demand.
saying that
I want to remind him.
Demand emerges in a number of ways. Demand for labor.
Right.
Why would you employ? Why would you, when you're not going to increase investment because the interest rates are going up? Bring down the interest rates to 9% today. See how much investment automatically takes place.
Doctor, that I'm coming back to, because your best friend Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh, the reformer, the whole supply model was created by these people.
Yes.
So in 91, you started creating supply. And 2020 also we are creating supply and there's no demand. The question, the supply model was created by World Bank economists. They all came here and they created supply and no demand.
World Bank economists, I don't know why you call them in. Anyone in my class who got a C grade went to IMF and World Bank.
But you should blame Narasimha Rao for creating supply side model.
No, at that stage it was supply. All these licenses and quotas were strangling our economy. And he dismissed all of them. In one overnight, he removed all quotas and licenses. Everybody said, no, do it slowly, gradually. When I was Commerce Minister, I wanted to remove export licenses. And Montek Singh was my secretary. He told me that no one will come to see you in your office.
Because supply side inequalities of income, you are a professor of economics, I have studied also. Because in 1991, the concentration of economic power, little bit skewed in favor of the middle class and whatnot. Now you have 1% of the population, corporate houses, owning about 90% of the GDP.
They are smart enough to do it in the circumstances. But that's our fault, not their fault.
It is the supply side which has given them enough power, not selling your own stock, inflate your values.
I have never been on for supply side. I've been arguing for all this time. Lower interest rates so that this supply side yields in favor of demand. So many I've got a book called Reset the Indian Economy. Please read that.
Okay, tell me one thing. What do you suggest our finance minister of the country, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, her husband has also spoken. What do you suggest her to do what in the second packet which they are going to announce?
I'm a gentleman. I will not comment on her.
Gentleman means you can't suggest to her anything.
So what do I suggest when I must know the others? In the Rishi Munis used to say that unless there is Shraddha, don't teach anybody anything. She has no Shraddha.
You're a public person. You're a public person. You can suggest anything to anybody.
I can, but why should I? Because she has no Shraddha. She can pick me up and ask by phone call, what suggestions do you have?
You can suggest it to Prime Minister.
Come for a meeting. There's no meeting. So they don't. So they're saying as it's like see you know the story about Subramanya and Ganesha, who will go around the world fastest, get a prize, and the Subramanian idiot went all around the world and came back. Ganesha went around Shiva and said, "You're my world, so I get the prize."
So you don't want to suggest anything.
So she just has to go around, Mr. Modi. Why should she have to bother about me?
Dr. Swamy, may I ask you about the US elections? And then I think we'll come to the Sushant Singh Rajput case because your interest in it is quite interesting for all of us to see. But a quick word on the US elections and how do you see that panning out since you know the Americans so well?
Yeah, last time I was the only one amongst in our party, BJP, who said Trump will win. Everybody was arguing for Hillary. In fact, the day of the demonetization, the entire cabinet was sitting, and I was told by the then principal secretary that in the cabinet the question came up, who's going to win, and the entire cabinet sitting around waiting for the prime minister to come back from the president said it will be Hillary. And then this poor unfortunate principal secretary said, but I had lunch with Dr. Swamy and he said it will be Trump. So, well, of course, his great friend guffawed, what does he know about America? We know better than him. So that happened because at that time, my Indian friends in India, in America, who do things like a license, the insurance policy, things like that, they move in the blue collar. They said for the first time we are seeing the white man at that level who has never voted, that we are going to vote for Trump. We have been betrayed by Obama. So that base is still strong. Now, if Mr. Biden doesn't make a mistake, like he made a mistake by going to the Muslim group and saying that, you know, when we come to power, we'll teach the Indians a lesson and all that. And he's tried to make up. And then you have this radical woman who of course, has Indian blood in her, but she doesn't say something which irritates the...
He's from your part of the country.
Yeah.
She's a Tamil from Madras city. So, therefore, I know the family, but I don't know her. So, so as long as they don't frighten somebody, Trump will be a close call. But otherwise, I think he will win comfortably because many things will happen before. You see, he has taken care of the blue collar by putting money into their accounts.
Right.
He has, you know, there is a huge white police mentality, which he has nurtured. Not taking...
Basically polarizing, no?
Yes. Whites are 75% of the population, like Hindus are 82%.
The nationalist agenda is following. He's following almost Modi and Trump are following the nationalist agenda.
Modi didn't follow anything. It was the RSS which created this Hindutva climate. Modi was a beneficiary.
So you say Trump will win again?
As a Gujarat chief minister, he has ever advocated thing. Otherwise, he would declare Ram Setu as a national heritage monument. He hasn't done so far.
So you are saying Trump will win again this time?
As of now, I believe Trump will win. There are only 2-3 things that can go wrong. Suddenly, the COVID casualties
Spikes again.
And he is promising vaccine and it doesn't come because people are very hurt by that because the Americans are outgoing people and especially Friday nights and Saturday nights, they're gala nights and nothing is happening and shops are not opening and so on. So there is the only place where they may say, but then it must become really bad because Biden doesn't inspire confidence that he will get it back into track. Presently he is coming with a baggage that he will be socialist. And that the American workers, even workers, don't like it.
But they're seeking vote in the name of Kamala Harris, no? They're not seeking for Biden.
No, Kamala only appeals to the left-wing extreme. She's not, Indians are not going to vote for her.
You say in 2016, you predicted Trump will win. I went to US during the same time, September, yeah. With other editors was also there, but I went independently. They came back and wrote that Hillary would win. I was the only journalist who wrote that he would.
Yeah, okay, good. We have been a long time together. And
no, you were making it different. I was reporting. I was not giving opinion.
He was only upset when Jayalalitha refused to send the letter to the president. And he phoned me at midnight and abused me left, right, and center. I was not responsible.
But will Trump be good for India?
Before the election said he would make me finance minister. And I was an ally with Jayalalitha. And so Jayalalitha made a public announcement that Swamy will be finance minister. It came in all the media and all that. And last minute, he told her, no, I don't think I can even put him in any place. And then she said,
why you got the government pulled down.
Later on, I promised her, don't do it now because everybody will curse you. Just come and now you're doing it. But
basically, doctor, did you take revenge?
No, there was no question of revenge. It's just Jayalalitha was very keen on it.
No, but you did not become the finance minister.
Huh?
You did not become the finance minister. Jayalalitha promised you.
That doesn't matter. The revenge. Am I so powerful that this RSS, VHP, BJP, government, Vajpayee, loved by all you liberals. I could single-handedly bring down the government.
You did.
Yes, the fact is,
I could have been the ringmaster. I could have been the orchestra person. You know, what is it? What is he called? The man who waves the band.
the conductor.
डॉक्टर वो हिंदी में कहते हैं
I was the
हिंदी में कहते हैं you have been हिंदी में जो कहते हैं ना कि सारी बारात में you और बाराती बनते
Yeah,
हैं
but
दूल्हा कभी नहीं बने
I was in Janata Party. I didn't know BJP anything.
Right.
You see, I got elected from Madurai, where you had predicted I would lose.
So what explains your interest in the Sushant Singh Rajput case? Why are you so interested in what seems to be a suicide, but you're sure that it's a murder?
It's not a suicide. Absolutely. Such deaths have taken place in the past. That's not what's motivated. What's motivated me is the money laundering of for drug traffic that takes place there. And he was, I came to know from independent sources, he was victim of that. Because they wanted, this Mahesh Bhatt, his real name is Ashraf Bhatt. You know that? Mahesh
Right.
Bhatt.
His mother is a Muslim.
He converted formally.
Yeah.
So, therefore, he is the kingpin in all this. His name will come sooner or later. And the fact that he was independent was a minus point on him. And then the drug, and he was originally quite religious. And so slowly, with the help of these women, he was brought into it.
So are you saying, doctor, that he was an addict?
He is not an addict, but the kind of drugs that were given to him has to come out. I'm convinced that this lady Ria was a front woman for Mahesh Bhatt or Ashraf Bhatt.
But what would Mr. Bhatt's interest in this be?
To see that people know he's the Dada, that this guy can't go independently. And he was not only doing that, he was speaking also against the fact that talent is being squeezed and so on. So they finally, that girl Disha, she was going to get him new contracts, which will be outside the control of Mahesh Bhatt. And so she had to be finished too. And that, of course, upset him no end.
Is it a case of insider, outsider? Is it a case of murder? Is it a case of drug addiction? Is it a case of money laundering? What all is it?
It is a case of saying there's a cartel must rule. And anyway, it happens to me in politics, not in the same way. One of the problems with me is that I'm not part of any yes man group. So in any day, it happened with Subhash Bose, it happened to some extent with Patel also. That when you become independent, you become a target. But if you're a democratic country, you know, you keep him out, you push him out and hope that he will disappear, fade away, and all you gentlemen and ladies of the press will write rotten things about him and forget about all his achievements. You know, this is what it has been happening in many countries, not only in our country. Any democratic country, this is the way. Not China, of course, has another method, but we don't have that method. So he was a person who was out of step, but he was highly successful.
Exactly, he was very successful.
But his contracts from wherever they were in a position, they were cutting it off. So this lady Disha came and she said she would arrange it. And he was quite hopeful. And they did discuss that the day before his death, some other producers had come to him.
Yeah.
So it's not that, you know, he was nowhere and, you know, he was desolate, he was emotional and he took his life. How can he take his life with his pajamas or his kurta? Absurd. And then his whole key business. Ridiculous. These guys are all like Keystone cops. They don't know how to organize a thing.
do you feel that there will be justice here? There's so many agencies involved in it.
No,
The CBI track record has never been very good, Dr.
the
Swamy.
CBI track record has also been good and also been bad. You know, I wouldn't say that. I have nothing against the present director. The previous director whom our government got rid of was a very good director, extremely good director. And so was the uh, enforcement directorate. But the issue is, the main issue which we have a problem with in this case is it took 65 days before the CBI took it. That time there is a complicit police, not maybe the whole police, but the top ranking, where there's been a systematic destruction of evidence. And so it has to be now built on circumstantial evidence. See, in America, there was a gangster called Al Capone. He committed
Yes, of course.
He was Italian, of course.
Yeah.
I don't mind that remark of mine, but he 32 murders.
Yeah.
And they couldn't catch him on even one. So the American
tax fraud ultimately.
On tax evasion.
Tax fraud, yeah.
In multiple cases, and got the judges to say these will be sequentially. So 2 years, 2 years, 2 years.
Yeah.
35 years.
Right.
But doctor, are you saying destruction of evidence? It means your own solid Hindu party, Shiv Sena is involved there because they are ruling the party.
Yeah, but they have now gone into bad company, no? And
but they still remain Hindu party.
They are a Hindu party, and we should bring them back.
So you mean to say they are involved?
Wrong of us to have driven them away. We drove them away. What is it that he was asking? He wants him to be chief minister. Okay, make him. What is the big deal? If you think that it is unfair to Fadnavis, bring him here and make him defense minister. Because Parikar anyone want to relieve at that time. So you could have, just said, I don't understand this mentality. Our chief minister, what for?
Why you want Fadnavis to become defense minister? You got a good.
I am saying that if you feel that he's being humiliated, give him this kind of big post. Because in any way, in Modi's cabinet, only Modi is the minister, while nobody else is the minister.
He is the prime minister and the minister.
His PMO decides which file will be cleared, which file will not be cleared.
So, anyway, I want to ask last one, then you can ask.
Yeah,
me.
sure.
Now your term, Rajya Sabha term is 2020, 22.
22, yeah.
22. And since you are a fighter, after that,
this is my sixth term.
Sorry?
And, this is my sixth term in parliament.
Yes.
Three Lok Sabha, 3 Rajya Sabha.
Correct.
Now, are you asking me what will happen at the end of this roughly one
22,
year?
yeah. What's your future plan after 22? If you get re-nominated, you are a nominated member.
God will give me what he has given me.
Some act of God will happen.
Despite all your best efforts, you couldn't stop me from growing in this politics. I was outside the BJP. Bajpai said I can't join BJP, and I was literally alone. My Janata Party, they used to say one-man party, signboard party. I formed a government with it. And I was the senior most cabinet minister. So,
okay, 75.
therefore, I believe in divinity. And the Shankaracharya of Kanchi, the man, the great God in human form, who lived 100 years, Chandrasekhar Saraswati, he told me, in your matter, you don't go after post. Post will come after you. And that's what
that post is still which you want to come after you hasn't come yet.
It will come. By the time I reach 2020, you'll see something will happen.
You become 80 by that time.
Yeah, your friend who tortured me and wanted me out of everything, he suddenly died. After telling me over 75, nobody is fit to be anything. He could even cross 65.
So may I ask the last question? Do you think Mr. Modi will win in 2024?
Hindutva will win in 2024. Hindutva won in 2019. Hindutva won in 2014. Modi was a person who was convenient for us because he was acceptable as Prime Minister. And I'll say today again, as long as Modi wants to be Prime Minister, I'll support him. I've known him for a long time. I know other people also. So if he wants to be Prime Minister in 2024, I'll support him. But that doesn't mean I will be his sidekick.
You don't see Yogi Adityanath being a potential Prime Minister?
That in India, you can never tell. Thought Lal Bahadur Shastri will ever become Prime Minister.
Right.
Thank
you as ever. Mr. Chawla, any
No, that's it. Thank you.
right. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. As always, frank, unplugged, really, and completely, unflinchingly honest. Thank you very much, Dr. Swamy.
Bye. Thank you.